everyone, and welcome to our virtual chat program here at the American Spaces in Uzbekistan Facebook and YouTube. I'm Gulshan from American Center Tashkent, and first of all, I want to thank everyone for being an active being active participants of our virtual programs. And of course, I'm very excited to introduce our speaker today, Sabina Abdukahhorova. Hi, Sabina.
Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Sabina. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you so much, Sabina, for being with us this evening and morning for you. So Sabina is a virtual intern with the U.S. Embassy Tashkent, and also Sabina is a junior student at Fordham University, and she studies global affairs and international global affairs and Spanish language. And she's also a chief editor for nonprofit dedicated to women empowerment and representation of Central Asian culture, women and achievements around the world. Sabina was born here in Uzbekistan, but she moved to the United States when she was at her about 10 years old. And today she will be talking to us about women empowerment and her experience working on women empowerment projects. So, Sabina, this is a very interesting topic, and we're very excited. Thanks so much for your time, and over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. So I am going to start sharing my screen. Here we go. Hi. As Gulshan mentioned, my name is Sabina Abdukahhorova. Today I'm going to be talking about women empowerment and what it means for me and how working on women empowerment really shapes society. And before we get started on that, I want to do a little introduction about myself. As Gulshan mentioned, I was actually born in Uzbekistan and I moved to the United States with my family when I was young. So I was around 10 and I'm 21 now. So I spent my formative years both here in the US and in Uzbekistan. So I got the best of two worlds. And I have to say, it's an incredible privilege to be an Uzbek American and to, get the culture of two worlds growing up. So I was mixed with different languages, mixed with different cultures from a very young age, which exposed me to the international world even more, which is what I want to pursue in the future. I'm fluent in 5 languages as a result of my ethnic upbringing. I'm mixed, so that resulted in me learning Russian, Uzbek, and Tajik. And when I moved to the United States, I acquired English as another language, and today I'm fluent in Spanish as well, and I'm continuing gaining languages for my future, career plans. A little more about myself. I live in New York City in the United States. I am a junior at Fordham University at Lincoln Center in the city, and I study international global affairs with a concentration on, global relations. And my other major is Spanish language and literature, where I read a lot of Spanish history related texts and the linguistics of Spanish language and grammatics. It's really fun. So I am incredibly happy to be learning a lot of different things that, really define who I am as a person. And growing up, I was really interested in a lot of things, especially because I had a pretty difficult time identifying myself and who I was and who I wanted to be in the future. So I got myself into all spheres of life. I was interested in books. I was interested in visual arts. I was really into singing at some point too, and that really didn't go well for me. But in New York City, I went to the Fame School. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of the movie Fame, but it's about like a group of young teenagers who are artists that are trying to, be successful in the art arena in New York City. And that was basically about my school. So I was surrounded by incredibly talented young students that were achieving great things, both in the field of academia and in the arts as well. So being surrounded in that environment really helped me, develop more artistic skills and academic skills and be exposed to different people of different backgrounds, of different interests. So that really opened up a lot of doors for me. I was a visual arts major. This is little Sabina painting and drawing. And this is actually one of my paintings that was at the Museum of Modern Art up on an exhibit for a couple of months. In New York City. I have to say, I am incredibly privileged to have my work up in the museum, and it was a great opportunity for me to understand that I love art and I want to continue doing art, but not professionally because it does demand a lot of time, a lot of dedication, and a lot of hard work, which I am willing to do, but I don't want to spend hours and hours painting when I can go and get, you know, more things done for myself. And that's just a preference and personal, um, preference. So, with being in the art world, really allowed me to see that um, it's my hobby and it's my interest and it's the way I express my identity, but it's not something I want to continue in the future. Um, and when I started university, I was actually interning for a nonprofit in translation called Restless Books. At Restless Books, they publish novels, poems, anything and everything literature related from different languages, from different regions of the world, like Japan, Korea, Zimbabwe, Finland, Sweden, even Uzbekistan. We had an Uzbek author named Hamid Ismailov, whose works are written in Russian or Uzbek or, um, Japanese, and we translate them over to English, and we bring the authors over to United States so they can advertise their books, so they can get a following, so they can, have a representation for their work. And Restless Books really showed me what it means to augment voices of different communities, especially voices of immigrant writers and especially voices of women writers. And that's when I realized I want to continue doing this work aside from the internship. And I realized I want to be in the international studies field. I want to be interacting with different people of different backgrounds of I want to be learning different languages and I want to be empowering different communities. And that is when I started learning more about what empowerment is, what women empowerment is, and I got into it on a more personal scale as well. So, before we get into women empowerment, I wanted to talk about the word empowerment. Being a liberal arts student really is a great privilege because you get to take a lot of different classes in different areas of academia. So I was taking anthropology classes, sociology classes, biology classes, religion classes, anything and everything you can think of. I probably took a class related to it. And I would hear the word and I would see the word empowerment multiple times. And I didn't really understand what it meant until I had a really good conversation with one of my professors at Fordham who told me that the word empowerment is a multidimensional word that relates to a lot of different spheres of life. It doesn't just entail something religious. It doesn't just entail something social or, something along the sides of relations, but it refers to on a more scale, on an upper scale, the growth of spiritual, political, social, and economic strength of individuals and or communities. So the empowerment of individuals is done through allowing someone's identity to be heard, allowing someone's identity to prosper, enabling, the political and social and economic opportunities for them to have a well-rounded and decent lifestyle. And that is when I understood that women's empowerment truly is. When I was doing a lot of research on feminism, on different waves of feminism for my Spanish literature class, I have an incredible professor, Cynthia Witch, who is teaching us Spanish writers, female writers, and their works in Latin American history. And just taking her classes and listening to these lectures about incredible movements that are occurring as we speak around the world, centered around promoting more gender equality, promoting more women's rights, raising awareness around issues of violations against women, and more, I've realized how important women empowerment is. And um, again, woman empowerment is a very, very simple thing. It's just uplifting the voices of women in general society. And that simple act enables a lot of other things. It creates a multidimensional opportunity and possibilities for women to seek education, to seek political representation, to seek social representation, representation in health, and every and any areas of life. So, women's empowerment, I narrowed it down here, include accepting women's points of view or making an effort to seek them, raising the status of women through education, awareness, literacy, and training. What it entails that when we empower women, when we give them the skills and confidence needed to project their voices in society, you kind of allow them to go forth and get education. You kind of influence them to be confident, to gain literacy, to gain different forms of skill sets that will not just benefit them on an individual level, but will benefit them in a community scale too, which will transfer to, creating a greater society and then creating a greater community and nation. And that is what's happening here in the United States quite a lot now. And I'm going to talk about that later. But women's empowerment, for me personally, having that confidence, being told that my voice matters, that I should go and get education, that I should be in different areas, that I should follow all my interests, like, ridiculous music interest I had, singing K-pop songs and doing visual arts, really allowed me to see that I want to be doing everything and anything at once. And that's who I am today. That really shaped my identity. So, my parents empowering me that as a woman, my voice matters, my community empowering me that through education, I will be able to obtain different skill sets in life, really enabled me to continue moving in society. And that is what I'm doing today. And that is what I'm hoping to do for other women as well in society. So I want to talk about 4 really important aspects of empowerment. It's going to be a little boring, but I hope it's not, because I think they're incredibly important to talk about. So the most important aspect of women's empowerment is education. And today, around the world, we see the promotion of girls' education. We see incredible things occurring where all nations are agreeing that education is the important and the most crucial component of developing a country. And according to the UN, which I did a lot of research about taking a course on UN and its different charters, we learned that education is one of the most important means of empowering women with the knowledge, skills, self-confidence necessary to fully participate in the development process around the world. And this is taken from issue 7 of Women Empowerment through the UNFPA campaign. What this entails is that a lot of different organizations, a lot of leaders of the world, everyone and everyone, everywhere can agree that education is the most important means of empowering women. But why is it that education takes the first place? When a woman is educated, and that I saw from my own personal experience, having an incredibly headstrong mother who continues to push for my further education, that you are confident to have your voice heard. When you have an education, you are able to be exposed to different areas of the world. You learn different world histories, you learn different languages, you learn different skill sets that will give you that really nice feeling of, I can do this. And that is the feeling we are all striving to have in life. And education really promotes growth of society. Because when a woman is educated, the other women follow their lead. Their children follow their lead. So education of women really, really promotes the development of a nation. And empowerment is often used interchangeably with the word development, and I've noticed this doing a lot of research and preparing for different sorts of exams, being a liberal arts student, that empowerment is interchanged with development, because when you are empowering women, you are developing um, different areas of improvement, different areas of success for a society. So empowering women's is often used interchangeably with ideas that sound really complicated, like development of gender equality, or development of awareness around women's issues. These are really big terms that really just mean empowering women, having their voices heard, representing them in different areas of life. Another aspect of social empowerment, and this is the most important aspect of social empowerment, in my opinion, is improving women's positions in social relations and structures, like representation, health, and much more. So, I want to give a little example of a person taking the train. So, I live in New York City, so I take the train quite a lot, around 2 hours to and from school. So, I basically live on the MTA subway. And um, when you're taking the subway, you see a lot of different advertisements, really big posters of different people advertising different things. And let's say you're taking the train one day and you see a big platform advertising a healthcare ad. And in that healthcare ad, you only see a representation of a specific community or a representation of just one gender. That kind of feels odd, doesn't it? Because health care is for everyone. It's for children, it's for women, it's for people of different background. So why are you just representing one community, one gender? That's when social empowerment comes in. When there is representation of women in things like this ridiculous healthcare ad, you are able to create more social opportunities for women. You are able to demonstrate that their voices are heard, that they have, someone like them being represented in different areas of life, like that poster. And you empower them to take on different areas and different fields of social relations, like, healthcare work or education or art, and much more. This list can go on forever. And the most exciting thing happened when I was doing research for the web platform Women of Central Asia, which I'm going to talk about later. We came across the news that in March of 2021, President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, who is also a woman and a woman of color, which is really important and really, really amazing, signed an executive order establishing the White House Gender Policy Council. What this policy council entails is that they aim to promote women's rights around the world. This executive order specifically states that women and girls and everyone, no matter their gender, sex, racial background, orientation, whatever it is, that they and their participation in economy, in healthcare, in social relations, in education, promotes greater economic and national well-being. And that is very important because a lot of different organizations here in the United States and around the world are actually using this executive order to promote really good agendas around the world that will enable more equality for girls' rights, women's rights, equality for rights of everyone, that will promote a more gender equality, more opportunities of education, more economic opportunities for everyone. And that is something that is happening socially, but it is all interconnected to become political and then economic. So, what political empowerment means is um, something very crucial to the general well being of a society. So, in the United States specifically, political empowerment began with the 19th Amendment in 1920. So, the 19th Amendment to the United States of the U.S. Constitution is basically another article to the U.S. Constitution, the most important one, in my opinion, that will enable women's rights to vote. Prior to 1920, it was illegal for a woman or anyone that didn't fit a certain category to go ahead and vote, to elect their political representatives, to elect their president, to elect their mayors, anything on the election hierarchy. And it was illegal for women to do. So what happened in 1920 is that group of really incredibly strong feminists and female writers and women around the United States gathered to protest, to demand their rights for political inclusion, for political representation. And that is what led us here today. Today, we here in the United States have a woman vice president, and we have a lot of we are growing. It's not really a lot. I'm hoping to see more change in the coming future, but we are growing in number in legislation, in the executive branch, in the judicial branch, with more representation, with more power in politics for women. So we have a lot of women political authorities now. And what this entails is that when more women are politically involved, when there is more political representation and more political opportunities for women to have their voices heard, you have different forms of agendas, different forms of political legislations, different forms of, social changes occurring in society. And this, in many ways, promotes more equality in a general society. And that is something incredibly important. And I think it entails that when you have women in politics, you have a voice, you have a different perspective on different issues, and you are able to hear their perspectives and create legislation based that will include the representation, the voice, and the opinions of a different demographic. And I am incredibly happy of what's happening here in the United States, where their politics, social, and economical arenas are pushing for more women representation, more women's empowerment. And I am so incredibly excited to see what's going to happen in the future. I feel like more and more women are going to get into politics, and that's just so exciting. Then we have economic empowerment. Economic empowerment is, in my opinion, something that can be really hard to understand, because when I was very young, my mom always told me that, a woman, it's really important for women to have, financial literacy, to be able to have assets, to have the opportunity to build wealth. I didn't really understand these things until, I grew up, until I was more independent, trying to make my own money, working and taking on different areas of interest. I realized what it means. So, well, economic empowerment is when a woman have the opportunity in all areas of work. Like over here in the chart, I have informal, formal agriculture, woman-owned enterprises, in all areas of employment, the opportunity to build assets, which means basically have financial, digital, and property related assets, which means having a house or having money or having stocks, something along those lines. This having assets enables them to lead a life that will enable them to have, you know, a successful future, that will enable their children to have a different course of life than they did. And this is what that this is what's very important. And economic empowerment takes on multiple ladders, and it basically comes down to women being parts of different areas of business, which in turn changes the environments and cultures in different sectors of business, which will become more representative of a general society. It's not just going to be men doing business, but women doing business as well, which, entails that it is for everyone. And what's happening today in the United States is really interesting, in my opinion, and really incredibly powerful. What's happening is that more and more women are getting paid maternity leaves, paid family leaves, and that's it was just for women. But now with different laws and regulations and more and more awareness of different topics like maternity, parenthood, there are things like paid family leave, which entails that both parents can take 4 to 6 weeks off from their work and still get paid and spend time with their family. And that's incredibly powerful because it demonstrates that everyone, including the fathers of newborn children or fathers in general and mothers, are able to be active members of the economic area of the world. What economic empowerment really does for everyone is that it entails and it allows for people and women to be part of um, open global market. I don't know why I just blanked, but it allows women to be part of open global market, which improves the economic standpoint of a country, which improves the economic standpoint of households, which improves the economic opportunities that the younger generation will have. So it's not just women gaining, it's the next generation gaining, it's the generation before gaining, and it is the whole nation in general gaining more and more opportunities and more possibilities and financial assets. So that is something I want to talk about next. So I want to talk about women of Central Asia. It, it's something that is personal for me and incredibly personal for my team of really strong Central Asian girls who are actually college students like myself, who created this web platform in order to raise awareness, to educate people, and reach different communities. At Women of Central Asia, I am a chief co-editor. And what we do at Women of Central Asia is we raise awareness of specifically Central Asian countries, about women experiences from Central Asian countries, and we try to raise awareness about their accomplishments, their experiences, their stories, without any judgment or prejudice or anything that can entail something harmful. We try to create a comfortable and open space where women from Central Asia or women from all around the world, if they feel comfortable, can share their voices, can share their accomplishments, can share stories about their identity, their struggles, the challenges they faced, how they overcame it, something that makes them happy, anything and everything they want to talk about. We wanted to create this platform because there is not many opportunities for women from Central Asian countries to really talk about their goals, their aspirations, their opportunities and all of those things. And we wanted to create a safe platform so other generation of women from Central Asian countries can follow their leads, to share their stories, to be empowered, to continue doing what they're doing, and become successful. And it is a platform where women help women grow. And I think that's an incredible form of empowerment when you are sharing your story and inspiring younger generations, or inspiring others like you to continue doing what they're doing and excel in their field. At Women of Central Asia, we also aim to educate people. And by educate people, I mean educate people on different countries of Central Asia. So I'm going to share a personal anecdote. Growing up in the United States, I had a pretty difficult time identifying myself because I look a certain way, I speak certain languages, and I am from a certain country that not a lot of people have heard of, because geography in the US is taught when students are fairly young. So when they're around my age, when they're 20, 21, or like 18, they kind of forget about it unless they're actively, studying it, or in the international relations field like I am. So what happens is that when people like me from Central Asia introduce themselves and say, "Oh, half Uzbek, half Tajik," people are caught so off guard, and they're like, "What's Uzbek? What's Tajik? Where is that? Is that a nationality? Is that an ethnicity? How come you're both?" We have these questions, and it's incredibly interesting to see the reactions of people, and then because you get to teach them something new. And I feel like everyone in the Central Asian community will agree with me when we say that it's really fun to talk about our countries, and it's really fun to talk about the different languages, because we come from really diverse countries where multiple languages are spoken all at once, where people have different cultural backgrounds, when there is different demographics. You have communities of Russians, of Kazakhs, of Kyrgyz in all of the Central Asian countries. So it's really fun for me to talk about Central Asian countries, and we wanted to create a platform where we educate people on these countries, where we give really short, fun facts about, Uzbekistan, about Tajikistan, about Kyrgyzstan, about Kazakhstan, and talk about their national symbols, different cultures, different languages spoken, the demographics, the political situation, the geographics, all of these things, so people are more aware about Central Asian countries. So we don't have to spend 15 minutes every time we meet someone talking about where Uzbekistan is, where Tajikistan is, because, as incredibly fun as it is, it's often it's a little kind of uh, it's kind of weird just talking about yourself when you meet someone new. So we wanted to break away that ice of awkwardness and create a platform where we can educate different communities here in the United States or around the world about Central Asian culture. And lastly, we wanted to reach Central Asian and global community around the world. So what we do at Women of Central Asia is that we seek out really well accomplished women and try to get their stories published on our website, on our digital platforms, so other Central Asian community members can follow their lead, learn more about the paths they took, and much more. We want to reach the Central Asian and global community in hopes of diversifying different voices heard from Central Asia. So it's not just Central Asian women from the United States, it's Central Asian women doing great things over in Japan, Central Asian women doing great things in Central Asian countries, and much more. We want to reach the global community and celebrate the achievements of different women around the world, and show them that their achievements matter, that their voice is heard, that there is a representation for them. And that is what I believe women empowerment is. I just want to show you a preview of our Instagram page. This is not really recent, which is why it's like 2, 3 weeks old. So we got a little more following and more posts here. But Women of Central Asia is a digital platform highlighting success and stories of Central Asian women. Here we can connect and reconnect with Central Asian culture and share our voices, share our stories, share our opinions about different things. Um, we have multiple dimensions to Women of Central Asia. We have, as I mentioned, the publication of well accomplished women who are doing great things in their field, like Amy, who is a nonprofit founder called E-Woman that is centered around empowering women internationally and having their voices heard. She's doing great things, and I am incredibly happy to be given the opportunity to network and to talk to these incredibly strong and powerful women. And we have chemical engineers, we have women in politics, we have women in med, business, computer science, and much more. So, a younger generation of women trying to be in that field have someone that will relate to them. That's have someone that they can look up to and be like, oh, that person did what I did, and they are here right now, so I can do it too. So that sense of like motivation, that's what we're hoping to do. And then we have audience submissions. Audience submissions are from anyone and everyone that feels comfortable with sharing about their experiences, about their opinions, about their takes on different issues. Audience submissions include, artworks, stories, poems, um, questions around identity, questions around maternity, questions around being a student, being a wife at once, all of these different topics that are, very normal to Central Asian culture, that are very widely discussed. We even have someone who shared about the importance of mental health in Central Asian community, and that was really opening eyes for me, eye-opening for me. I just mixed up the phrasing. My apologies. Uh, Different languages in my head, but eye-opening for me because I didn't really understand about mental health and the stigmas around surrounding mental health in Central Asian countries and culture. So we were able to see different takes on different issues. Here at Women of Central Asia, we also highlight different facts about countries. Here we have facts about Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Afghanistan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, and much more. And we recently, just yesterday, announced that we are going to be creating mentorship programs where we are going to be pairing up mentors and mentees to talk about professional growth, to learn more about education, empowering one another, following different leads in life and all of those things. So it's incredibly important, in my opinion, to have these things available. Um, so, what I think women of Central Asia, what I think women empowerment in general comes down to is just having a platform, just having the opportunity for women's voices to be heard, for women representation, for equality of women's rights, and much more. And what this entails is something very simple, just that a specific demographic and its voice is important in society and society's development, that it is going to be considered, that it's going to be respected and treated as equal to the rest of the community. And women's empowerment takes on multiple different dimensions, and often it is very much, criticized for being a new wave of feminism and much more. But really, woman empowerment is just women empowering other women, or the society empowering women to take on new things, to challenge themselves, to be successful in the field they feel comfortable in, and all of these things along the line. what is happening around the world, and what we saw with Amy Karaman, who we published, and who has her own nonprofit organization for women empowerment, is that more and more women here in the United States and around the world are getting more active about gender equality, about women's rights, about issues um, surrounding gender, surrounding identities, surrounding different communities, and much more. What it entails, and what the with the new executive order passed by Biden and Harris administration, this entails that there is a trend occurring globally towards more and more equality of rights, no matter the gender, no matter the race, no matter the background. Everyone is striving to create a society, a global community where there is sustainable, equal rights, and much more. So I am incredibly happy to be living in a society, to be living at a time where there's so much change occurring all at once. And being in the international arena and wanting to learn more and study more really opens up my eyes to different things occurring, and I'm so excited to see what the future holds for us women and for us world, and what we can accomplish in the next couple of years. And I would like to thank the US Embassy, where I am an intern, for this opportunity. And yeah, thank you so much for having me here. And I hope I didn't bore you guys to death. I am incredibly passionate about this project, so I can get a little carried away. So I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Thank you, Gulshan. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Sabina. It was very, very interesting, and it's a precious experience that you shared with us. Thanks so much. So we have some questions from our audience. Um, we even have people joining us from Egypt. Hamis is saying hello from Marso City, Egypt,
Hi.
and he wishes great success. Um, so we have one question off topic from Mocha. She likes your accent, and she asks, how did you improve your accent? So, linguistical question to you.
Oh, I think, yeah, it took me a while to improve my accent. I used to pronounce certain words really funny, and when I think about it, I get really bad flashbacks to when I would say hand sanitizer instead of hand sanitizer. All of these really weird things that happened to me learning different languages. But what I did to improve my accent is that I would record myself, like voice memo on my phone, and hear it back and improve on certain words. So that really helps me. And everyone has a different way of improving their skill sets. But for me, it was definitely my phone, which is filled with weird recordings of me saying weird things in different languages. So, yeah.
Thank you. That's a great tip. Okay. Daniya Hasanova says, thank you for these great points. And Sanaba Akbarova is asking, at what age do women and men retire in the United States?
Well, it really depends on where they are in terms of their career, because you can have a really good retirement plan where if you're in the industry for 10 years, you can swiftly retire. But I think the normal age really depends on when the people are comfortable to retire. So I don't think there's a universal retirement age. Um, Even if there is, I'm not really aware of it, but I know for sure that it's when you reach a certain stage in your career, a trademark kind of stage, like 10 years, you can freely retire if you choose to.
Okay, thank you. Next question from Daniya Hasanova. What do you think, what is the role of men in women empowerment?
Oh,
Great
I love this question. I love this question. So I'm taking a lot of really interesting courses on different movements of female writing, of women in literature, and much more in Latin American countries. And yeah, Latin America is different area of the world. But what's occurring there is that more and more men are becoming aware about issues surrounding woman identity, like the violences that occur against women, the violations of women's rights, gender inequality, and much more. So the what men have in what role men have in this topic, in this specific area, is so incredibly crucial, because it entails that when other members of society are interested about women empowerment, there is more movement occurring. So men have the opportunity and the privilege to speak up against violations occurring against women. So it's incredibly important. The role of men in women empowerment is incredibly important.
Okay, thank you so much. Ellen McMillan, hi from Ellen in Tashkent. Thank you for speaking.
Thank you.
All right, and I want to remind everyone, if you have questions or comments, please put them here. We still have some time to answer your questions. And while we're waiting for more questions, another thing to talk about. So some of the gender-specific barriers to education faced by girls in the United States. Are there any? Or are there any you know about?
Oh, gender-based. Oh, I can go into like talk about women in STEM and how there's less representation of women in STEM related fields. Like, there are less women engineers and less women in computer sciences. And that kind of creates that bias, that stereotype that women are not possessive of an analytical skill sets to be doing mathematical equations, to be doing these logical things. And that's completely ridiculous, because we too have a brain, we too are studying the same things as men are, and we are as capable. So that stereotype, there's definitely bias against women in different areas of, academics, in different areas of education. But more and more women are specifically going into these fields of STEM to reject these ideas. And that's incredibly powerful, because I know, like, they're doing it just to demonstrate to themselves, to the society, that women have the same opportunities as men, and in fact they can do even more. So yeah, there is a trend going where women are more and more involved in STEM, and that is incredibly powerful to see.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sabina. Question from Alex. Hi, Sabina. What do you think is the most important women's issue in Uzbekistan right now?
Okay. I think the most important women's issue in Uzbekistan right now is there is a need for women representation in politics, and that is something I believe very important to have. And yeah, just empowerment of women in different areas of society, like social representation of women, and that's happening more and more in Uzbekistan from what I see. And more women are getting education in Uzbekistan, so that's incredibly great to see. And more women are starting to open up their own businesses. So I hope to see more women in politics in Uzbekistan in the coming years. That would be really interesting and hopefully really great to see.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Our next question is from Ellen. What inspired you?
What inspired me is definitely my parents. They sacrificed a lot of things to come to the United States, and they gave up a lot of opportunities back in Uzbekistan for us, the children, to get an education here in the US, to start a new life. And my parents didn't speak an ounce of English when we moved here, and we as kids didn't speak English as well. So it was incredibly difficult for them to get started. So seeing my parents going through different challenges in life really made me realize that I want to be successful, that I want to be involved in different areas of academics and more. And, become a great person so I can make my parents proud. I know this sounds really cliche, but I am an immigrant and I saw my parents going through a lot of hardships. So I want to do great things so I can make them proud. That inspires me.
Thank you. Moho is asking, are you still working with Education USA? And probably you can tell others how you are connected with Education USA so that people know.
Okay. Yes, I am. I am a teacher, a cohort leader of incredibly talented and incredibly great students in Uzbekistan. They're from 16 to 19 years old, and no, are they? No, 15 to 17. My apologies. And they are incredibly great students, and I am me and my teammate Maggie are working on teaching them about opportunities here in the US provided for higher education and continuation of higher education in the US and around the world. And I got into this program with the US Embassy's virtual internship. So I work with the Advising Center in Education USA, and we try to guide students on college application process to the United States. So we work on essays, we work on Common App, and my students are incredibly smart and incredibly inspiring because they're working so hard, and it's so, so great to see.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. And it's actually great to have you and your other counterparts here with us, Sabina.
Thank you.
Sabina, one more question. Since right now it's a campaign, 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. So are there any initiatives in the United States to protect women who face gender-based violence? Maybe you know about something that you can share with us.
Oh, yes, there are a lot of different organizations and a lot of different campaigns around, protection of women against gender-based violence. I know USAID is actively working on creating more opportunities for women equality, and certainly I'm sure they're working on protection of women against gender-based violence as well. A lot of different organizations, not just, like government based or international think tanks, but rather regular companies actually preach and work against, no, work to talk against violations and violence against women. So, what's happening in the United States is incredibly powerful to see because we see more and more both in public and private areas of economics and social and political arena becoming more active around issues of around women's issues, around gender equality, around gender against gender violence, and much more. So there's a lot of initiatives taken, and I can for sure think of USAID as one, but I can't name others. I don't want to be wrong.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Sabina. So another question from Moha, not related to the topic, but might be interested to other people too. Have you taken an SAT?
Oh, yes. For the US, in order to get into a university, at least during when I applied, SAT was not optional, so I definitely had to take it. I took it 2 times, and today I'm at Fordham. So, yeah, I took it definitely. And it was the most horrifying time of my life.
Any tips to our students who are going to take it?
Yes, Khan Academy. Khan Academy. I don't know if you guys heard of it, but it's like an online platform where you can take diagnostics tests that will give you practice questions that are same as the questions you got wrong. I did really well because of Khan Academy. Not sponsored, not advertised.
Okay, thank you, Sabina.
Too.
All right. So, talking about the nonprofit, and you shared some screenshots of the Instagram account.
Yes.
It looks amazing. You said that women from all around the world, from Central Asia, can join it, right?
Yeah.
So, what are some specific activities that you guys offer? Could you share a little bit
Yeah.
with us about that?
Yeah, so it's actually a web platform. We're trying to get the title of nonprofit. As we speak right now, we're filling out the paperwork, and it is actually a long process. So for today, we are a digital web platform organization centered around women empowerment. And some of the activities we have up on Women of Central Asia include the opportunities to have your voices heard, share poems, um, share different activities that you do outside of your field of interests, and share your experiences and much more. Other activities include the mentorship program that we are launching, which means that any and every student, even from different areas of the world, it doesn't necessarily have to be Central Asia, can sign up to be paired with a Central Asian mentor successful in their field to teach them more about, professional development, to teach them about education and more. We also have different programs centered around, fun facts about this country, or fun facts about specific types of food that which more often than not really gets the attention of the younger followings we have, which become really interested and leave really incredible comments for us. So that's one of the activities we do. Some of the activities we do.
Wow, this is interesting. I think a lot of women will join you after this chat. I
Hey,
will.
thank you.
All right, and I think we'll take a last question from our audience. Fun question from Alex. Which country do you want to travel to most right now? I'll pick three top.
Okay. Um, I know this sounds really weird and really cringy, because why this country? It's gonna be submerged in water very soon, and because of that, I want to go to Italy. And because I studied visual arts in high school, I learned about the works of great Italian artists, and I want to see them in real life. I want to go to the Sistine Chapel and see the paintings that Michelangelo did and more. And I just want to be in a sphere where I spent hours and hours studying and actually see the work up close after all the hard work that I did. So Italy is number one. Number two is going to be Thailand. It's really beautiful. I want to go. And number three is Russia. I've never been to Russia, and I speak Russian, so I really want to go to Russia and see more of Russian culture aside from what's represented in Uzbekistan and in the United States.
Thank you so much, Sabina. And thank you, everyone, for being with us today, for asking those great questions. So, Sabina, I hope we'll have some other women empowerment project with you later, and we'll have something together, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for getting up early in the morning for us and sharing this interesting information.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys, for having me. And I hope I didn't bore you guys to death. Thank you.
Okay, have a good day.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye.